All right, so I know I've needed to do this for a long time, but I thought I'd do a video on the actual build process of the bike, not picking it up, not riding it, but just how it came into existence in the first place. You'll have to excuse my squeaky boots, I'm still breaking them in, but I knew that I wanted one of these bikes for a few years, two or 3 years. I've been interested in and been trying to get one in the United States. And the first thing that I looked at was taking a regular 690 Enduro and putting the Kit 690 on it, or the Omega 701 kit. I looked at a whole bunch of different kits, and the problem that I always found was that they're just kits. It's not the actual bike. It's sort of a band-aid on something that I really didn't want to do any other way than the right way. And so I've had, of course, been following Lyndon for some time then, and I contacted him, about a year and a half ago now, and we talked briefly about bikes, and I had always really considered a full LPR 690 factory rally build a bit out of reach, both in price and in Lyndon's schedule. And so it wasn't until 6 months later or so that I finally contacted him and said, look, I have the coin to do this. Do you have a bike that would even be eligible? Do you have a bike in the United States? And he said, yeah, I do. I have a 690 factory rally bike. It was supposed to be raced in 2008. Of course, that Dakar was canceled, and it was raced until stage 5 in the 2009 Dakar, the first time it was in South America. And so I thought, wow, that's amazing. It's exactly what I want. He sent me some pictures of it. Of course, it looked a little bit worse for wear since it was built in 2008, but it was perfect. And so that's when we started emailing back and forth about exactly what I wanted from the build. And the bottom line was that I wanted something that, above all else, robustness and simplicity were key. And so most of the items on here are either new OEM parts, or improvements from Lyndon, or just little things have been changed, so that in the end, the thing that is maximized about this build is that I know I can take it anywhere and I could probably fix it myself. Everything is simple, everything is straightforward. Changing the air filter is as simple as undoing a pin underneath my tank bag here, sliding off the seat, and the air filter is right there. If you have to change the oil, you don't even have to take off the skid plate if you don't want to. You can just hose the oil right out of there. I mean, everything about this bike is simple. If you want to take the entire front nav tower off, all you have to do are four clips. This one here, this one here, this one here, and that one down on the right as well. And you've got the whole front off, and you can have access to everything that you need about the electronics of the bike, the nav tower, whatever you need. Everything about this bike is simple, simple, simple. And so that was my goal. That's what Lynn and I started out in 2017 talking about. And so Lyndon sent me a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet detailed essentially everything that he would be able to do to the bike. Whether I wanted the Woody's wheels, whether I wanted the rear tank conversion, whether I wanted really anything. And it was a massive spreadsheet. We went through and we went back and forth about each item, talking about exactly what each item added or removed from the bike in terms of reliability or performance or fuel range or whatever it was. And so we ended up with this, final version 10 spreadsheet that detailed everything that I wanted. And so at that point, the total build cost was about £36,000, which at the time, this was just after Brexit, oddly enough. And so the dollar was really strong, and I was able to get a pretty good conversion. So I ended up paying want to say like 44,000 US dollars for the initial build. We made some small changes down the line. I added more graphics. I wanted a different paint scheme, and that ended up adding a little bit more money. But that's I don't know. That's pennies at this point. And so once we agreed upon a price and a delivery date, which was August 12th of 2017, he looked at his schedule and figured out the exact best time when he could start the build, and that would be about early July of 2017. And he got to work, and we communicated throughout the whole thing. He sent me pictures of the things that he was working on in that particular day, what he was cleaning, what he was modifying, adding, changing, removing, simplifying, whatever it was. And so this continued on for a few weeks. I visited him in late July to see the build of the engine, which I was really, really curious about. I had never seen someone like Lyndon, who has an incredible amount of skill with these kinds of bikes, tear down and then put an engine back together from scratch. It was something really cool that I wanted to see, and it was great. And then I got to meet Lyndon as well and go over some of the finer details of his previous builds and this one. And then came August. I picked up the bike at about noon on August 12th, 2017. And apart from the fact that this one is pretty dirty, it was absolutely perfect. The graphics were perfect. The paint was perfect. Everything just came together perfectly, which you can expect. I mean, it was a really expensive purchase, so you would expect that things would be done really well. But Lyndon went above and beyond the call. Every little nuance that I asked for and little change and update, he took care of it, and he made sure that it was done right. And it shows. It really shows. I have a feeling that I'll keep this bike in my garage for the next 10 years at least. I mean, it's going to be a family heirloom at this point. I mean, I love riding it so much. That is until someone offers me a absolutely sacrilegious amount of money for it. But there's already a line for that. Anyway, so that's kind of the build process. As far as cost goes, some people are really surprised about how much it is. Others are sort of underwhelmed. Some people thought it was more. I think that the price was fair. The base bike alone was £20,000, I think, which is a steal for a bike registered in the United States. And that's just the base bike with no modifications. And you definitely have to have the full Lyndon build if you're going to get one of these bikes. Importing these into the United States is a nightmare. And maybe that will change with the current administration. But currently, if you want to import these type of bikes, you have to know someone in the DMV or have done it before. And in Lyndon's case, he had done it several times before, so he knew exactly what he was doing, and he did it right. And so the cherry on top for that was that I got a bike that was registered in California. And if you have a bike that's registered in California, anything's possible. You can register it anywhere else, no questions asked, because California is such a nightmare to begin with. So when I picked it up, I immediately took the title on over to the DMV, and then it took 6 or 8 weeks, and then I got the title fully registered in my name, and everything checks out paperwork-wise. So there's no way that the government is going to come crush it or something like that with some imported cars. I know that's happened in the past. So all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed, and everything came together pretty much perfectly. So anyway, that's the start to finish on the build of this bike. At some point, I'll get around to talking about each individual component that went into it and the design and those kinds of things. But right now, I'm in the middle of absolutely nowhere. So I think I'm going to go ride around.